Clap it. Let's go. Yeah. Hey, yo, what's going on, everybody? My name is Hero, and this is Coding with Strangers, and I want to talk about something. I want to talk about all the broke people in the back. Yeah, I'm talking to you. What you filling out 30 applications a day? You've been having random people call your phone offering you jobs. They ghost you, and they never get back to you. You're probably thinking to yourself, why does it seem like no one likes me? It's probably because you don't go work out. Go to the gym. You look good, you feel good. You feel good, you play good. I also like to take a second here to tell you, hey, like, share, subscribe if you like the vibes. You feel me? But I'm going to keep it real. That nauseous feeling you get whenever, like, I don't know what's worse, dating in today's day and age with all the damn apps, or finding a job. They're neck and neck. But I lean towards it's probably worse at dating because there might be a legitimate reason why the job market sucks so much. And after we're done talking about all this today, you might believe what I have to say. But more importantly, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you some clear signs that you're probably going to get ghosted by this particular job, and not to waste your time filling out applications for them. Above all else, it is quite apparent that the job industry has drastically shifted after the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic and even during it, it was a employees market. That's when I got my job. I lied on my resume and got my job. So I know that they were taking anybody. But along those lines, a lot of things have changed since then. The economy has gone into inflation market, and it's an artificially inflated market. It is a market that is trying to recoup, a market that found out it was okay to recoup on pandemic era issues and lost wages and lost revenue, that is now taking that to the extent. But that is capitalism. As long as we dictate success as up and to the right, people will continue to find ways to usurp and take from people the best way they can. Besides the fact that employers are already stealing upwards of 15 hours a week from their employees, it stands to reason that they could only take so much from the employees that they employ. They are going to eventually find ways to take from the consumer as well. So going back to the basics of where a lot of people's frustration come in the job market, it really starts at square one. Having to apply to a bunch of jobs where we know, statistically speaking, 6 seconds is spent looking at your resume. And for all you guys that don't know, in our Discord, we have a job hunting section. We have people who have gotten jobs. Clap it up. I like to brag on the strangers community. This is the only place I know where people say they can't find a job and they come back, maybe weeks, maybe months, saying they've got a job. It happens more often than not here, and I really appreciate, if that's my legacy, if you got to come watch an hour of my show in order to get a job, hey, goddammit, watch it. Like it, subscribe to it. The Patreon's down, and when you make your first check, you owe me 15%. I call it a finder's fee. Pay me. Y'all be out here making it good, man. Somebody got to pay me. But regardless, right? Regardless, if we're keeping it 100, finding that next job, finding that new position, finding that space where you're going to work is daunting, because the start of it is really just a carousel of dog water ass motherfuckers coming in and out of your life, promising you things and never returning on those investments. And it sounds like a cheap date. You got a 15-minute call there, you talk to a person here, then someone drills you, and they usually don't. You could do is spit on it, but no one cares. And the reason why we're covering this, because recently I got a job request. Someone called me and said, hey, we found your resume, look amazing, look like a great candidate. I was like, okay, cool. So what do you guys, how's your interview process work? Or what are the next steps for me? And like, okay, we'll do this 15-minute, we'll talk about the company, great. And then you're going to do two 30-minute calls with a data engineer and a software engineer. Okay, excellent, cool. Are they going to be people I work directly with? No, they're just on a random team. It's going to be a culture check. I was like, you know what? I can appreciate the company do a culture. Then you're going to do 4 30-minute interviews with people on your team directly. Feel like we could do the culture check and the team check at the same time, but hey, you know what? Sure. Then you're going to do a homework assignment. You called me, ma'am. And I stopped her right there. I stopped her right there and told her I am completely, wholeheartedly content with not moving forward in this process. And she sounded really caught off guard, but that's what it means to be fed up with this job market, because I know while she was talking to me, I Googled the company, and let's just say a lot of people at their job site, a lot of people there, it didn't really fit the stranger's culture, you know? Because too often we think that the interview's a one-way street. No, this is a two-way road. You better look both ways before you cross this damn road. You're interviewing me just like I'm interviewing you. And if your pillars of the company is we like to make a diverse and inclusive company, and all the people of color work in janitorial positions, and I'm going to be the first, nah, I'm not going to be the token. Find somebody else to have an experiment with, right? Interview the company just like they're interviewing you. So let's talk about why it's hard to find interviews, right? The ghost job is a phenomenon that a lot of people are talking about. And I don't know, and I think this is something that is relatively new to the 2023s to 2024 era. It's super new. And I don't think a lot of people are aware that this is happening because of what we're being told about the job market, the labor market. Everything looks great. But why doesn't it feel great? Let's find out why. What are ghost jobs? I wanted this to play the audio, but the audio broke down, so I had to stop trying. A vexing phenomenon is plaguing the labor market, ghost jobs, referred to listing by employers that either aren't real or have already been filled but never led to an actual hire. This is frustrating not only to a job seeker but also to the Federal Reserve, which is trying to steer the economy to a stable place. This is very daunting. Because we're going to have to see some type of, there's going to need to be government intervention, just like what California did and said, hey, you got to disclose, you have to be transparent about the job that you are trying to hire people for. You have to be transparent about that up front. The federal government needs to step in here and make it so that companies are transparent about what their headcount looks like versus what their hiring count looks like and what their cutting already looks like. If you're a company with over 100 employees, you already have to submit when you're going to lay off or fire more than 50 people. I think there's like there's a place where they have to report that. This is an interview between, I think, 3 people. I didn't count it, but we'll see. I'll say the name of the person who's talking before they say something. Mary Lou Kelly, who's the host. The official unemployment rate here in the U.S. has been at a historic low for a while now, but there are still stories of job seekers who are not hearing back from potential employers. Our colleagues over at the Indicator, Darian Woods and Wong, explain why their so-called ghost jobs seem to be on the rise. Woods, the job market is a mysterious place right now. Ivan, for instance, is a writer in the LA, and about a year ago, he was looking for a writing or admin job, but he couldn't tell if any one of them were real. Ferdinand is almost like swinging at a piñata blindfolded. It's like, what am I going to hit, if anything? Wong, part of the trouble was ghost jobs. And when we talk about ghost jobs, there's a few things that could be going on here. First, it is outright scams. This is so true. The amount of people calling me, asking me if I can work for them, and I'm like, where'd you see my resume? Oh, you're in our job board. Okay, so tell me, can I work for you? Look at my job, look at my resume, and like, if someone's calling you and they don't even know your name, that's just a clear red flag. And if they ask you for money, we've covered this before. People asking you for money is wild. Hey, we need you to pay for your shipping and handling. Nah, I'm good. If I have to pay for it, I don't need it. I don't need it. You can keep it. Where job listings are purely there as bait to get your contact details or even ask applicants for money, then there is ghosting, where an employer or recruiter doesn't get back to you after you're gone in for an interview. Ghosting by employers appears to be on the rise. Lisa Simone is the chief economist of Revlo Labs, which is a job analytics firm. Wong, but what Lisa calls ghost jobs is this other thing. It's a job ads where employers are real, but they might never fill the position. So this is something that's super important, and we're going to come back to this later. It's important for these companies, if they want to sound good on their business calls, to show that their company's growing. How do you show a company's growing? Well, you need to show that they're hiring. How do you show you're hiring? You create fake work. There's something at work that I like to call manufactured chaos. Whenever a manufactured chaos meeting happens, it's usually at the beginning of a quarter. There's this big humrah to get more projects, to do more things, to do more. And it's because middle managers feel pressed because now they have to show that the growth is still happening and new projects are still happening. And what it really just causes is overwork. Because now you have your main task with some funny job on top of that job that you're already doing. So imagine you're doing your job great. You get high marks on your job and everything's going great, and your manager or your whoever gives you another job because they want to be able to show that, this person's working so hard to keep up, that everything must be good. It's a figment of our imagination, the illusion of hard work. I call it manufactured chaos. I actually called it something else. Someone was describing to me how they were having a bad day at work, and I was like, what was the word I used? Oh, manufactured concern. Manufactured concern. It's just this constant, we got to do something. They're so concerned about the next job, the next task. 1 in 5 postings wouldn't result in a hire. And now it's almost so that 1 in 2 job postings don't result in a hire. So it's getting worse. And we have numbers to back this up. We actually have labor numbers to back this up. Wong, understanding ghost jobs is really important because we don't want a false picture of how the economy is doing. That could hurt everybody. Right now, the Federal Reserve is keeping interest rates high to control inflation, but they are almost mindful of not wanting to totally crash the job market as they do that. And one stat that has been cited as a sign of the job market resilience is the number of job listings for every unemployed person. This is so trash. So imagine you're a company, right? And you want the interest rates to go down. But Papa Powell ain't letting that shit drop. And the reason why he ain't letting it drop is because he can see everything around him. Yo, shit's expensive. Gas is expensive. Everything is expensive. But you a businessman, so you gonna tell Papa Powell, hey, yo, relax. We're hiring people out the woozah. Look how many jobs we have out there. And this correlates with the sentiment of 2022 and 2023. What was the sentiment? Do you guys remember their slogan? It was, nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work. This was step one of their grand master plan. They wanted to create a talking point where it was believed that we were the problem. We don't want to work. And once that circulated through, they now needed a way of proving that people didn't want to work. How are they going to do that? By posting jobs. And when they post jobs, by not filling them within 30 days, they can then say no one wanted it. Even though they interviewed 13 people for it. And the latest numbers are that there are about 1.25 jobs opening every unemployed person, so plenty of jobs for everybody in theory, but can we really trust these numbers? No, we cannot. And on one question, what it means for how much we can trust the wider macro indicators of job openings, we wrote to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and Economics. They replied that the way they survey work, employers are repeatedly surveyed for 3 years, and that the employer does need to be actively recruiting. And then the BLS checks if there are any major discrepancies between the businesses in the survey and what they actually do. All that being said, the BLS doesn't have any data specifically related to ghost jobs. So they don't have any specific numbers on this. And you're going to find out why they don't have any specific numbers on this. But just before, So the reason, and I want to show this. So this is a spike of unemployment. This was during the pandemic. It was at the highest I think it's ever been since 2004, 13.2%. Right now we are sitting comfortably at a 4.1%. But I honestly believe that this number is more closely represented to 6% unemployment. I think it's closer to 6% unemployment. And I'm going to tell you why. Because alongside ghost jobs, there has been another phenomenon that has come in tandem with it, which is mass layoffs. It's become so synonymous that even the labor union, which is the BLS that they were mentioning, has a predictive about it that they started doing in 2013, that they backtracked from 2023. They had to go back and see, and basically what this chart tells us is that, whenever companies start to feel the pressure of hiring people, it comes with waves of them laying people off. But it's just not the big companies like Tesla, Nike, Google, Discord. It's some smaller companies, right? What is this? Citi, Twitch, BlackRock, Rent the Runway, Unity, eBay, Microsoft, Activision Blizzard, Salesforce, Flexport. This is all in 2024, by the way. iRobot, UPS, PayPal, Okta, Snapchat, Estee Lauder, Zoom, DocuSign, Paramount Global. We're just halfway through the list. These are all the major companies that have cut at least 3 to 50%. Morgan Stanley, Cisco, Expedia, Sony, Bumble, EA, IBM, Statler, I don't know what that is, Amazon, Apple, Tim Apple, Tesla, Rockstar, Peloton, Microsoft, Indeed, a place where you're supposed to go to find jobs, are cutting people, Walmart, Under Armour, Pixar, after having the most successful movie come out ever, Inside Out 2, beat out Frozen, Lucid, Walgreens, John Deere, Burberry. Also, John Deere and Microsoft both cut their diversity, equity, and inclusion department because even though John Deere and Microsoft, which is the second richest company in the world, who funded the number one company in the world right now, Burberry, Intuit, and that is just to name companies that cut 3 to 50%. There are companies that have completely gone out of business and bankrupt themselves trying to save money. But we also have numbers from of 2013. So these are always 10 years back. So the Labor Department is doing us a disservice. The numbers are tabulated in a 10-year rotation. If you've already figured out the algorithm for this. You can implement them into more realistic numbers. We have the technology to get realer numbers up front. But the numbers from 10 years ago are showing us that the trend there's something wrong here. Also, keep in mind of the type of jobs they're tracking. I just showed you a vast majority of the companies that make up the S&P 500. None of those companies manage food services, tax preparation services, motion pictures and video production, temporary help and services, school unemployment and transportation, payroll services. They're tracking jobs. They're tracking jobs that if you had today and you lived in a major city, no disrespect, I want better for you, but you're probably a one paycheck household. That's a dual income household. They're tracking skiing facilities. That's a seasonal job. That's a summer job. So now we know that they're not even tracking jobs that actually feed the economy, because those companies imagine the companies taking the biggest tax cuts in the world, not feeding the index funds, but they're not being held responsible for the jobs that are being created in the economy. What does every company tell us when they try and move into a new territory, a new state, or a new area, a community? We're going to bring jobs. So why aren't we tracking those? Check the number for 2011. Initial claim was 23. Initial claim, and this was April's peak, and these were industries, so this was for unemployment. This is 2011. Going up to 2013, they didn't this data wasn't even you see how nice this one was? They're not even building out PDFs all the way for this shit. This is still in just HTML. I had to pull the HTML for this. And it's up to 11,000. But the prior industries that they cover for 3 years, this was 10,000 now. 10,000 now. The year before, it was 8,000 and 7,000 respectfully. It's increasing. The trends are showing that they're increasing. So now what do? We know that ghost jobs do exist. We know that the labor union isn't doing enough work, aren't being counted as jobs to even acknowledge in the job board. So now, so how do you protect yourself? There are some quick ways to identify, has the job been posted for a really long time? Anything that's been posted for over 30 days, you should not be applying to. You should, and if there's over 50 applicants, I wouldn't waste my time. Is the job posting light on details? If a job has the audacity to give you a pay scale without giving you details about the job, it's a trap. Is the career website posting inconsistent with the company's own website? This happens a lot. You click on a link, it takes you to the website. The website says the link is down. So if there's a job that you want, I always recommend applying at the company's website. Never apply on LinkedIn, never apply on Indeed. Their job is literally to get you to give up your information so that they can sell it. LinkedIn and Indeed are data brokers. Has the company recently announced rounds of layoffs? It is ridiculous for Amazon to fire 10,000 people and have over 80,000 job openings listed on LinkedIn. That just doesn't make sense. Amazon can't lay off a whole entire division and then say we're hiring 80,000 people. Look how great we are. You got to watch the news on that. Does the position seem too good to be true? Yeah, I've seen this before where they're offering $100 an hour quick call, call now for a quick consultation to see if you're a match, don't call them. No one is. When was the last time you found money in the streets? Last time I found money in the streets, I was in a sandbox. I'm lying. I was actually on 6th Street in Austin, and I found a $100 bill. I found a $100 bill. Does there seem to be a strong internal candidate? This is also something that is a red flag. When I'm in an interview and they say, "Do you have any questions?" and I'm looking at the people who are interviewing me, one of my questions always is, "You've been here for 5 years, and you work in this department, and this is a managerial position, so I would be your supervisor. Why aren't you being considered for this role instead of me? You've been here 5 years. You're easy." Like, whenever I come in, I see that, I immediately feel like I've wasted my time. But that's not, there's still more. I got a more tidbit to you. A great reason about this is happening is because, the snake is eating its tail and it's catching up to itself, right? Snake eating its tail. Capitalism it mandates that everything must go up and to the right. It must go up and to the right. So, that's the truth. Then we know that they're willing to sell out their own by cutting their staff to boost, so their payroll, taxes and payroll goes down, so it boosts their sales immediately and boosts their revenue immediately. And then they'll do it to employees too. Shrinkflation. They'll offer you the same thing and shave a little off the sides. The customer won't notice. Another thing is gatekeeping. Tech is the biggest way to transfer wealth in this country without a degree, without nepotism, without VC money, and with little to no regulation. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. If you want to stop that transfer of wealth, you're going to make those jobs extremely competitive and extremely harsh and hard to get. And that's depressing, because it is a great way to incline your wealth. But they're making it hard. And lastly, the game is absolutely rigged. So you better cheat, lie, damn near steal, whatever you have to in order to get your foot in the door. Because people don't even have what is called major connections to just introduce you to a job anymore. Everything, and then people love to go on these high tirades about merit-based hiring. There's nothing impressive about corporate America. Corporate America is full of mediocre people. If you work there, you know it. There are people that I can replace with if I work hard one day out of the week, I can replace 4 people at my job, guaranteed. For a week. One day of hard work for me will replace them for a week. Corporate America and the structure that is our workforce is painfully mediocre. So it's always weird when people say, "Oh, merit-based hiring." You hire people you like, period. Because you can teach anybody how to use a screwdriver. And that's as hard as the job is going to be. There are truly important people who are individual contributors. I get that. Heart surgeons, motherfucking data engineers, shit like that. But for everybody else, there's MasterCard. Swipe that shit. I mean, that's a win. That's a win. We'll take that. You know what else we'll take? A like, a share, a subscribe. Patreon's in the description. I appreciate you guys. Let me know if you've ran into any ghost jobs, and what ways do you figure out which jobs aren't real and which ones are real? Like, what's your method of vetting, ghost jobs? And what's your hot take on ghost jobs? How many applications y'all put out there in the universe? Golly. All right, we're done. Clap it. We're done.